Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our reading through the Tanak night, the 5th of November, 2025. We'll be reading our 5 chapters tonight. Deuteronomy chapters 21 through 25. We'll do like we normally do. We'll read each chapter and then break it down, get some feedback. Okay, go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos you can look at, examine. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And for those who want to support the channel to help it move along, we have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. So that too will be greatly appreciated. Okay. This is a non-Messianic channel. For those that don't know, we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, we don't subscribe to the New Testament. Okay, we don't subscribe to JC, don't subscribe to Paul, Church Fathers, none of that. Okay. This channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up in these last days, these final hours, to their true identity and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Okay. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our reading through the Tanakh night. Okay. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information. Then we open it up for any questions, comments, any dialogue or testimony. And then we go to our topic for discussion. And something was read a couple of days ago about Psalms 45. So I went back and looked at that, and I'm gonna break that Psalms 45 down, and then we'll get some feedback on that. Okay. Scripture reading, like I said, will be out of Deuteronomy chapters 25 through 21 through 25. We're going to read it and break it down. Then we'll pick a scripture like we normally do and read that scripture. Then we'll break it down, and then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we pray unto the Lord our God, and we make our confessions, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee and to them that keep thy commandments. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us a confusion of face, as it is this day, to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven us because of our trespass, that we have trespassed against thee. O Lord, hear this prayer and cause thy face to shine upon thy people for your sake. O Lord, open your eyes and incline your ears to hear and behold our condition. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do and defer not, or for your sake, for your people and the land needs you desperately at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. With that being said, I'll read a psalm. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, I'll read Psalm 16, 15. It's who shall dwell in the holy hill? It's a psalm of David. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is condemned, but he honoreth them that fear the Lord. He that sweareth to his own heart and changeth not, he that putteth not out his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent. He that doeth these things shall never be moved. Okay. So with that being said, anybody have comments on that? So that was Psalm 15. Who shall dwell in the holy hill? Okay, it's a Psalm of David. And David gives us a list of the things that Hebrew Israelites not to do. So you want to go back and look at that, check it out. Okay. So with that being said, we go to our current events, play them, and then get some feedback, break it down. Okay.
His centrist bloc lost big. Power was fragmented between the far right and the far left. And since then, France has been essentially ungovernable. Bairou's fall was inevitable. And at this rate, Le Cornu may not last much longer. Also, there's the growing economic crisis. I've already told you about the debt. It's 114% of the GDP. The people are frustrated. The poor and middle classes are constantly asked to tighten their belts, all while the wealthy remain untouched. The sentiment is strong, and France's political class is hopelessly out of touch.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We need to finish this project.
That Europe never believed was possible. After more than a century of dependence, control, and extraction, the tables have turned. Across West and Central Africa, countries once bound to France's economic system are now walking away together. From Mali to Niger, from Burkina Faso to Chad, new governments are tearing up old deals, rejecting the CFA franc, and canceling billions in French contracts. And the shockwaves? They're shaking the foundations of Europe's trade empire. This isn't just a symbolic break. It's financial, industrial, and geopolitical. For the first time in modern history, Africa has cut France off from $15 trillion worth of strategic trade influence, from uranium to oil, gold to gas, and the rare minerals that Europe's industries depend on. France, once the gatekeeper of Africa's economy, is now being locked out, and the timing couldn't be worse. Europe is already struggling with inflation, energy shortages, and a collapsing manufacturing sector. The question echoing through Paris today is simple. What happens when Africa says no? Because this time, it's not just one country. It's a continental movement, and it's changing the world economy forever. For decades, France maintained one of the most complex economic control systems in modern history, the CFA franc zone. 14 African nations were forced to use a currency linked to the French treasury. France decided its value. France held its reserves. France decided how much money they could print, borrow, and spend. This system ensured that African economies stayed tied to Paris, politically and financially. But starting in 2023, the cracks began to show when Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, 3 former French colonies, experienced military transitions. They began openly challenging French presence. They expelled French troops, canceled defense agreements, and began looking for new partners, Russia, China, and their African neighbors. By 2024, that defiance had evolved into an alliance, the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, with a clear economic mission to build African-controlled trade routes, currencies, and resource systems. Then came the critical moment. Uranium exports from Niger to France were halted. Niger supplies nearly 25% of the uranium that powers France's nuclear plants. Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, and regional blocs like CAMISA and ECOWAS in transition. The key goal, trade without Western intermediaries. In 2024, BRICS expansion welcomed Egypt, Ethiopia, and the UAE, linking Africa's largest markets directly to Asia and the Middle East. Through new projects like the Trans-Saharan Trade Corridor and BRICS payment systems, African nations are creating direct supply chains with India, China, and Russia, bypassing the dollar and the euro. This is why France's loss is not temporary, it's structural. The more Africa builds new economic bridges, the harder it becomes for Europe to return to its old dominance. Already, African central banks are experimenting with cross-border digital settlements in local currencies. Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria have announced blockchain pilot systems for digital currency clearing. These aren't isolated moves. They re-strategic building blocks for an independent African financial system. And when African trade doesn't need the dollar or euro, it doesn't need France. That's the endgame France never saw coming. As France loses ground, Europe's political structure begins to shake. EU leaders are quietly acknowledging what Paris refuses to say publicly. Africa is no longer Europe's backyard. It's the world's next power center. We treated Africa as a colony long after independence. Now, Africa has chosen its own destiny. The consequences are already visible. French companies are losing billions in contracts. Trade missions are being canceled. And most symbolic of all, French troops, once stationed across half the continent, are packing up and going home. It's not just the end of a policy. It's the collapse of a mindset, one that believed Africa's resources would forever serve European ambition. And now, with France on the defensive, other European nations are starting to ask, if it can happen to Paris, who's next? While France reels, Africa is writing a new chapter in global economics. And this time, it's not under anyone's shadow. Across the continent, leaders are realizing that unity is leverage. What one nation couldn't do alone, a bloc of nations can achieve together. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, is becoming the backbone of that vision. With 54 member states and over 1.4 billion people, AFCFTA represents the world's largest single trade zone by population, a $3.4 trillion market and growing. This is the Africa that France and the West underestimated. An Africa that's no longer exporting only raw materials, but also policies, innovation, and stability. The continent is also diversifying its partnerships like never before. China is financing large-scale infrastructure and manufacturing projects. India is investing in digital and pharmaceutical sectors. Russia is providing energy and defense cooperation. The Middle East, especially the UAE and Saudi Arabia, is investing in logistics, ports, and fintech. These are not colonial-style arrangements. They are mutual deals based on access, growth, and modernization. And
Okay, any comments on that? France is going away, and the rest of Europe going with it. Any comments, questions? Okay, go to this next video. I think this is pretty important to me anyway. Check it out.
Good chance you're not getting paid. The world's biggest economy has run out of money. It cannot even pay its own staff because the US government has shut down. This shutdown has entered its 5th week. That means no salary for more than 1 million US military personnel, thousands of air traffic controllers, and even some lawmakers. They may not get their paychecks. The US Department of War, that's America's defense ministry, has been forced to accept a donation just to cover salaries of the active troops on the front lines. You're talking about a $30 trillion economy that is struggling to pay its bills. Here's how America got here.
Vice President Vance says if the shutdown continues, it could be a disaster.
So look, it could be a disaster. It really could be, because at that point, you're talking about people have missed 3 paychecks. They've missed 4 paychecks. How many of them are not going to show up for work? These guys are doing heroic things to make it work as well as it possibly can. But every single person that I talk to a word, they are worried that the delays are going to reach a point where it makes it very, very hard for the American people to fly.
He called their work heroic, but even heroes have limits. Every missed payday erodes the safety net that holds America's aviation system together. The people guiding planes through the skies are doing it while juggling second jobs, debts, and growing anxiety. For now, air traffic remains mostly smooth. Flights are still taking off and landing, but the risk is rising. Fatigue, stress, distraction, all in one of the most demanding jobs in the world. Officials say a single misstep could cause chaos or worse. So here's where America stands today, the world's richest nation asking for donations to pay its soldiers. its air traffic controllers unpaid but still on duty, and its government paralyzed by politics. This isn't about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about people doing vital work without pay. And
It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. For the first time in modern history, hundreds of thousands of Americans are looking for jobs in Africa. Yes, the same continent once labeled as developing is now becoming the destination for opportunity, while the United States faces a crisis few saw coming. From Lagos to Nairobi, from Johannesburg to Accra, African companies are receiving a wave of applications from American engineers, tech workers, and entrepreneurs, all searching for stability and growth. Why? Because back home, the American dream is breaking. Unemployment is climbing. Debt is soaring. Major U.S. corporations are laying off tens of thousands. And as housing, healthcare, and education costs spiral out of control, millions of Americans are realizing something uncomfortable. The promise they grew up with doesn't exist anymore. Meanwhile, Africa is doing the unthinkable. Nations that once relied on aid are now attracting foreign talent, venture capital, and industry. Tech startups in Nigeria are pulling in Silicon Valley veterans. Renewable energy firms in Kenya are hiring U.S. engineers. And Ghana, Rwanda, and South Africa are building innovation zones that are competing directly with Western hubs. In 2025, Africa's youth-driven economy, abundant resources, and digital transformation have made it one of the fastest-growing job markets on Earth. And that shift is sending shockwaves through the global economy. Better life somewhere else. At the same time, Africa's economic rise has flipped the global perception of where the future lies. Countries like Nigeria, Kenya, Egypt, and South Africa are posting GDP growth rates double those of the United States. Digital infrastructure is expanding at record speed. African governments are partnering with global investors to build industrial zones, smart cities, and innovation hubs that rival the West. So when Americans scroll through job boards and see salaries, benefits, and cost of living advantages in Africa, it suddenly makes sense. They realize that Africa is not the stereotype they grew up with. It's the next big opportunity zone. Let's be clear, Africa didn't just get lucky. This transformation is the result of decades of reform, investment, and ambition. Across the continent, governments have been quietly building the foundations of a new economy. Nigeria is now Africa's top destination for tech investment, attracting billions in foreign capital. Kenya's Silicon Savannah is producing globally recognized fintech startups like M-Pesa and Flutterwave. Ethiopia and Egypt are expanding industrial exports, supplying everything from textiles to electric components. Rwanda and Ghana are competing to become Africa's clean tech and innovation capitals. And the numbers prove it. Africa's total startup funding surpassed $7 billion in 2024, outpacing Latin America and parts of Asia. You're begging for investment. It's setting the terms. Even China, which has long invested heavily across the continent, is watching closely. Beijing sees Africa's growing appeal to Western professionals as validation of its own long-term strategy, that Africa's growth is inevitable and unstoppable. European nations, facing their own economic stagnation, are quietly exploring African partnerships too. It's a global realization. The future of labor, resources, and innovation is moving south. Economists call it the reverse migration wave. For the first time in 200 years, people from developed nations are moving toward developing regions, not out of desperation, but out of opportunity. The United Nations estimates that by 2030, Africa will have the youngest and fastest growing workforce in the world. That means more innovation, more consumption, and more demand for skilled professionals, the exact conditions that once powered the rise of America. For the U.S., this migration trend exposes deeper structural issues: inequality, stagnation, and political division. But for Africa, it represents validation. The world is finally acknowledging the continent not as a charity case, but as the new center of growth. The symbolism is powerful. Americans coming to Africa for jobs flips a 100-year narrative on its head. It tells a generation of young Africans that they no longer have to leave to succeed. The world is now coming to them. So what?
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody see any of that in the news? You made research?
Shalom, brother Leonard. Yes, sir. That it also reminds me of 2030 because they're planning to send everybody over there, but the uh just all the benefits over there is gonna make people flock because that's gonna be one of the only places that you can make money. It's gonna be over there in Africa.
Exactly right. It's, prophecy being fulfilled. That's what we're looking at. Okay, you got so many people that can't see that because they're still consumed with the European way of thinking and dealing with Christianity, and they can't see none of this stuff. Okay, you got tunnel vision. Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna play this right here. I thought this was real informative. This my need to know information right here. Play it and then we'll talk about it.
Senior Trump officials have.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Something is about to jump off. Many senior Trump officials have moved to military bases, and they are doing this in record numbers. We are going to dive right into this because we need to see what's going on. This is very, very deeply concerning for a lot of people, so we're going to jump right in. Go ahead and share the broadcast so that others can tap in on this topic with us. Like the video if you're new to the channel. Subscribe if you have no issues with the truth. Anyway, let's get into it. Take a listen at this, and I will be right back.
A number of the members of the administration are now living on a military base. What? You didn't know this?
No.
Oh, yeah. Stephen Miller just moved there. Kristi Noem lives on a military base. J.D. Vance. Oh, no. Rubio. Pete Hegseth. I mean, for people who love America so much, they seem to be scared of it.
I'm one of those people they call a conspiracy theorist. When I hear things like that, I'm like, what do they know that I don't know?
Well, I don't think it's it's in the paper, but I don't know.
When high-ranking officials start relocating to military bases, it's not a drill. It's about to hit the fan. Sources close to the Trump administration say key officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, have quietly relocated to military bases for their own safety. Officially, it's about civil unrest. Unofficially, it looks a lot more like they're posturing for a rapid pass to secure bunkers if things spiral out of control. So why the sudden fear? Could it be that millions of Americans are set to lose access to SNAP benefits tomorrow? That means no food money for families already stretched to the breaking point. When that happens, frustration turns to chaos fast. Even the possibility of protest, looting, and maybe even some burning cities. Sources inside the administration say it's preparing to declare a nationwide state of emergency if violence erupts. Quick reaction National Guard detachments are already being trained in every single state, and they could be mobilized in less than 60 days. And just when it couldn't get any stranger, President Trump confirmed plans to resume nuclear testing for the first time in 33 years. When pressed by reporters, he said it plainly. Yes, we're going to be conducting nuclear detonations. Now, this could be a coincidence, but when officials start moving to bases, the economy's collapsing, and nuclear tests are back on the table, it might be time to ask what exactly they're preparing for.
Increasingly are facing so many very serious and violent threats that they find that the only option they have is to actually move their families and themselves onto military bases. Here's the list of some of the notable acts of political motivated violence. Of course, you had June 2022, the plot that was thwarted against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. You had the Paul Pelosi was attacked in October of 2022. Obviously, you have the assassination attempts on President Trump, both of them. You have the arson at Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home.
Yeah, and of course the Charlie Kirk assassination. I think the Charlie Kirk assassination was such a shock to, especially to anybody who is in public life, that you could go with security to a university and simply have open debate, and you get shot in such a horrific way. in front of college students. I really, I'm still not over it. I'm just surprised how in the liberal media, it's just kind of just gone away. Here at a lot of conservatives, and of course it's Fox News, we have not forgotten. We will not forget. But it has just gone off the pages like, oh, just another day. But the people who are not forgetting, especially, are those in the public eye. And so one of them is Stephen Miller. This is The Atlantic saying Stephen Miller joined a growing list of senior Trump administration and political appointees, at least 6 by our count, living in Washington area military housing, where they are shielded not just from potential violence, but also from protests. It is an
Okay. Anybody heard anything about that? What do you think?
Shalom, everyone. I had read a few days ago that what's his name? Stephen Miller and his wife had moved. I didn't hear it till on base, but I didn't really understand where they moved to. The title said on base, but then it said something about Washington, D.C. housing something area. Um, it sounds crazy to me. It goes along with everything that they're making happening here in the United States, that regardless of who you are, it's not comfortable. So they've been getting a lot of threats to their personal homes. So as crazy as it sounds, this would be the only administration to do something like that. Move everybody to safe places on base and use the same military that I'm hoping they're paying to protect them, even though the government shut down. But yeah, it would be this administration to do this.
Anybody else got anything on that? Feedback? Okay, so that's a sign to me. Just like what's happening with France and all that is, and all the people that's leaving is, so all those signs. I mean, they're not just gonna all of a sudden stop. They come into a head, like I said, a perfect storm. Okay. With that being said, I'll open it up for anybody with any questions, comments, any dialogue, testimony. Anybody got anything you want to shine a light on before we move forward?
Shalom. I don't know if anybody heard, but apparently Trump spoke up a few days ago about all the Nigerian Christians being killed. Some whatever social media platform that he actually owns, he posts things on there quite often as if it's presidential memos, but he said something along the lines of using forces and that the leadership in Nigeria needs to get everything fixed. And basically it was this big show of force that he's going to send out to Nigeria if Nigerian Christians don't stop dying. Very quickly after that, Chinese female spokesperson for the Chinese government spoke up and said that they are the supporters and strategic partners for Nigeria. Furthermore, to say to Trump, you need to leave them alone. We're helping them. They're fine. If you do any digging, if you look on social media, the Nigerians really don't want anybody's help. People in Nigeria have been dying that are Christians, have been dying by handfuls every day since the end of last year. And so they don't suddenly want anybody's help. They don't want China's help. They don't want the United States' help. And the people that live there are now saying that Trump is only saying something because he's looking to make some economic advantage by coming over. But there's a couple of international leaderships that are saying you can't start sending forces and missiles over to Nigeria because Christians are dying. But Trump has spoke out against it twice in social media and then on the press that he plans to do something to stop the Christians that are dying in Nigeria.
Okay. Anybody else got anything you want to shine a light on?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I well, to that point too, that the sister had made, I did see that same clip from that guy Zach. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's a Nigerian guy too. Trump said that he would also divide Nigeria into 12. Well, I ain't gonna say 12 lots, but into 12 portions. And I thought that was interesting. But I also seen Brother Leonard, have you seen how that dude JD Vance and Charlie Kirk's widow? It seems like they've been in cahoots, kind of. Like some clips that I seen, they were just, I don't know, it looked like they real friendly. And I know he's married or whatever, but I just think their interactions that I've seen lately was very interesting to me. I just wanted to know what you thought.
Yeah, I think it's staged, me. Yeah, I think it's staged. Well, yeah, it's gonna come out. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, check this out.
Welcome back to the channel. How's everybody doing this evening? I have a rather interesting broadcast I'm going to bring before you today. And of course, I'm going to kind of toe around the subject a little bit for obvious reasons. We're going to be talking about something that was said, something that I found to be very, very interesting. I don't know what to call it. I'm not sure what to even call it. But what was said by Floyd Mayweather was very, very interesting. You're going to see in just a moment what I'm talking about for those of you who have not seen this as of yet. Floyd Mayweather, he has said he has vowed his full support for the Jewish people, period. He says he doesn't care what people say. In other words, it's none of your business. I agree with him, it's none of our business, but I'm still going to talk about it for just a moment. Before getting into this topic, I want you all to go ahead and share the broadcast. I'm going to say some interesting things here. I do think that we need to keep our eyes on Floyd Mayweather Jr. for the next few weeks or months or what have you. Anytime you vow full support for the Jewish people, period, no matter what, I think it's worth noting. My. He felt the need to tell this to the world on stage at an event. First of all, if you're new to this channel, y'all, I want you to go ahead and subscribe, okay? Because we speak truth over here. Truth is definitely worth. Why is he doing this? I'm not going to be before you long on this video either. I just want to share this with you because you all remember when Charlie Kirk passed away. There was a pastor, Vody Bokum. Do y'all remember him? Yeah. Does anyone remember Pastor Vody Bokum? I'm going to share this video clip with you all where Floyd is saying to the world that he supports these people and that his best friend is Jewish. And guess what, y'all? That's his business. That's his business. I'm going to share the video, and of course, you know I will be right back.
I'm not with you guys 10%, 50%. I will always be a voice for the people in Israel. I will always stand behind the country of Israel, the one and only Floyd Money Mayweather in Israel. I will always be here for you guys, and you guys don't have my voice.
Okay, so you comments on that?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Yeah, I wonder why they felt the need to make him say that. I'm sure he didn't volunteer, but I know he's part of the Boule. So I'm kind of asking a question to you too, Cause just the timing of it, what would make them have him get on stage and express his support like that? He normally doesn't talk politics.
Yeah, I mean, support for Israel is waning. And everybody taking up Palestinian cause. So they trying to they're getting, blacks that have sway with the black population like him to say that, and then hopefully more than likely have other ones come up and do it, trying to sway the opinion back toward Israel, because just like France falling apart, Israel falling apart too. I mean, I don't know if you've seen where just like NATO was doing with can't think of the name of the country over there. They sending all those weapons over there. Now China, Russia, and North Korea sending a bunch of weapons to Iran, and they're only doing that for one reason: to knock Israel off. This is just recently. It's got all this money and all this weaponry being sent to Iran for them to deal with Israel. So to me, they're trying to get ahead of the game, which I think is too late, because they're not trying to deal with them, because these people the people in Gaza, they just sitting ducks, and instead of attacking them and killing them. So they ain't going. That's not good. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
And brother Leonard, Gaza, is that land a part of the land of Israel, the real land of Israel?
I can't really call it. I think you ever heard of Tel Aviv, right? I mean Tel Aviv.
Right. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. It could be part of it, but I think based on scripture, they said that it was going to be desolate, and he said that desert animals are going to be living there, which is like you said, the isle. There wasn't going to be no trees. There's people everywhere over there and all over there. I mean, if you go back in history, it's two Jerusalem. It's two Jerusalem. It's that one. This one right here was up where everybody at now, but it was another Jerusalem with two Jerusalem. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. I think it's what they call it, not the Jebusite Jerusalem. That's the one where David came and conquered, but it was the Jebusite Jerusalem when they had another Jerusalem. Well, it's been a while since I dealt with that, but yeah, it's two Jerusalem. It was, and so what Constantine did with him and his mother Helena, they set that all up over there. That's over there now. And another thing happened. The real Jerusalem, Hadrian backfilled it, came in and got a whole bunch of legions, and they came in and backfilled and covered over with dirt, because they was having so much problem with those fake Jews that was over there. That zeal, they had a perverted zeal, and they was causing problems for the Roman Empire. So eventually Hadrian had the real Jerusalem backfilled with dirt, so nobody can, and hid it. Understanding the way it was at. So, you got to consider all that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So with that being said, like I said, my topic for discussion is that a few days ago we were dealing with Psalm 45, right? And I'm gonna read Psalm 45, then I'm gonna break it down. Shock and awe. So here we go, Psalm 45. Okay. It says It's a song. It's a song for the king's marriage, right? It's to the chief musician upon, can't say this guy's name, and then the sons of Korah, a mishgal, a song of love. So it's, this mishgal is the same as a song or poem, right? So it says, my heart is inviting um, a good matter. I speak of things which I have made touching the king. My tongue is the pen of a ready writer. Thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is poured out into thy lips. Therefore, God have blessed thee forever. Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O most holy, most mighty, with thy glory and thy majesty, and in thy majesty ride presumptuously because of truth and meekness and unrighteousness, and thy right hand shall teach thee terrible things. Thy arrows also, thy arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee. Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. Thou lovest righteousness and hateth wickedness. Therefore God, thy God, have anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. All thy garments smell of myrrh and of alloy cassia out of the ivory palaces whereby they have made thee glad. King's daughters were among the honorable women. Upon thy right hand did stand the queen in a gold of Ophir. Hearken, O daughter, and consider and incline thine ear. Forget also thine own people and thy father's house. So shall the king greatly desire thy beauty, for he is thy Lord, and worship thou him. And the daughter of Tyre shall be there with a gift. Even the rich among the people shall entreat thy favor. The king's daughter is glorious within her clothing is of wrought gold. She shall be brought unto the king in raiment of needlework. The virgins or her companions that follow her shall be brought unto thee with gladness and rejoicing. Shall they be brought? They shall enter into the king's palace. Instead of thy fathers shall be thy children, whom thou mayest make princes in all the earth. I will make thy name to be remembered in all the generations thereof shall the people praise thee forever and ever. So, well, first of all, this is when David got married. But like I said before, if you go to, we're talking about David. But anyway, let's look at it. You go to let me get it. Hebrews. Okay, I'm going to show you typology. That's all this is. They distorted the understanding of the script of it. It's just when King David got married. Okay, but anyway, so you go to Hebrews. Like I said, this is a prime example of like Daniel 9:26 and 9:25. They're saying that's Jesus, but we know it's Zerubbabel. It's the same right here. Get Hebrews right quick. Hebrews chapter 1. Okay. Chapter 1 of Hebrews, verse 8 and 9, right here. This word for word. Typology, right? Same thing over there in Psalm 45. But unto the Son, he said, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom. 9. This Hebrews. Thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity. Therefore, God, even thy God, have anointed thee with the oil of gladness. See that? Above their fellows. It's way out of context. They didn't went over here with David, just like pretty much all the Psalms. Now they came over here in Hebrews and put the verses out of four. Oh, let me go here. Go to Hebrews 45, 6 and 7. I mean Psalms 45, 6 and 7. This is where they got it from. Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. 7. Thou lovest righteousness and hatest wickedness. Therefore, God, thy God, have anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. So, like I said, it's David. Now they took it and put it over here in Hebrews, word for word. Like I said, you could train a baboon to do this. So anyway, let's go back. So when you understand you're talking about David, let's look at the first one, verse 7 in Psalm 45 and 7. Thou lovest righteousness, hated wickedness. Therefore God, Yahweh, thy God, have anointed thee. Well, Michael, thy God, have anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. So this David, yeah, David anointed, right? So you say, what are you talking about? I'm always going here. Go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel, chapter 16, I think it is. Yeah. 1 Samuel 16. Look at it right quick. Yeah, 16, verse 1. And when the Lord said unto Samuel, how long will I mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thy horn with oil and go. I will send thee to Jesse, the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king. You go to king right here, not JC. This is what Psalm 45 talking about, right? I have provided me a king among his sons. Then we know the story. David wasn't there. Then he said, verse 11, and Samuel said unto Jesse, there are all thy children. And he said, there remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he can't come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and with of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And the Lord, see this, he goes the Lord right here. And the Lord of hosts, said, arise, he talking to Samuel, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the oil, it's the oil of anointing, righteous, whatever he's talking about in Hebrews. Then Samuel took the oil, the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came down upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. So you say, well, what you talking about? I mean, what you talking about? Let's go to Deuteronomy. I think I'm making see if I'm going to the right place. Deuteronomy. Okay. Now, Exodus, chapter 30. Okay. So this is Exodus chapter 30. This the okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, here you go. Chapter 30, starting at verse 22. This what they used to make the oil. Moreover, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take thou also unto thee principal spices. Remember this, principal spices, pure myrrh, 500 shekels, sweet cinnamon, half as much, even 250 shekels, and of sweet cannabis, 250 shekels. Now here you go, 24. And of cashews, 500 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, and the olive oil, a hin. So go back to the Psalms 45, and it says, let me get it. Okay. Give me a minute. Somebody might see it before I do. Yeah, here you go. 8. All thy garments, talking about David, is at the wedding. All thy garments smell of myrrh, alloy, cashes. See that? All the ivory palaces, whereby they have made these. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, they got 2 verses over here, word for word in the New Testament. But we know it ain't got nothing to do with JC. And we know who they knocked off the chessboard to put JC there. It was David. Okay? Keep going. So it says, so they tell you right here, they say that this is the ultimate king. If you go to Christian ideology, they go to Psalms 45 and say, this is the ultimate king. The marriage supper. This is an actual marriage right here when David got married. And then, but they go, they took it and they saying that this is marriage supper of the Lamb. When Jesus married the Israelites, married the nation of Israel. But right here in Psalm 45 is David. We're gonna keep going. David had this awesome relationship with the king of Tyre. So I'm gonna start at verse 9. The king's daughters were among thy honorable women upon thy right hand. So this ain't nothing but telling the story of a wedding. King's daughter was among the honorable women. Upon the right hand did stand the queen in gold of Ophir. This David's Bathsheba. Hearken, O daughter, and consider, and incline thine ear. Forget also thine own people and thy father's house. So shall the king greatly desire thy beauty, for he is thy Lord. See that? David is our Lord. So ain't got nothing to do with JC, nobody else. And worship thou him. Now here you go, what I'm talking about. And the daughters of Tyre shall be there. Why the daughters of Tyre there? Because David got a relationship with the king of Tyre. Okay, look at this. And the daughters of Tyre shall be there with a gift. See that? Just like today. Your best friend, they come in with their children, they got gifts. So here you go. So it says 12. The daughters of Tyre shall be there with a gift. Even the rich among the people shall entreat thy favor. The king's daughter is all glorious within her. Clothing is of raw fine. She shall be brought unto the king in the raiment of needlework. The virgins, like I said, Jacob married Leah, married Rachel. She had 2 concubines with her, 2 women that was with her from her kid. Leah the same way. So right here, this woman the same way. She shall be brought, 14. She shall be brought in unto the king in raiment of needlework. The virgins, these are the concubines. The virgins, her companions that follow her shall be brought in with her, right? With thee. Now I'll go one more. I think that's enough. But I'll go one more place. So it says, I'm gonna read. Let me start at verse 4. And in thy majesty ride presumptuously because of thou and the meekness and righteousness, and thy right hand shall teach the terrible things. Thine arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee. The throne, here you go. The throne of God is forever and ever. The scepter of the kingdom is a right scepter. So what scepter is he talking about? Okay, let's go get it. I mean, Numbers. Numbers 24, right here. This is the prophecy of Balaam. Verse 15, 24 and 15. And he took up a parable and said, Balaam, the son of Pierre, hath said, and the man whose eyes are open hath said, he hath said, which heard the words of God and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw in a vision, this before David came, which saw in a vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes, but having his eyes open. So this is what Balaam prophesied. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nay. There shall come forth a star out of Jacob, a scepter. See that? Right back to David again. A scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, destroy the children of Seir. So they're going to be scepter. That's over in that the psalmist is talking about in Psalms 45. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it right there. Anybody got any comments, questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I do have I guess yes, sir. It is a question. So in Genesis, we hear about a son leaving his mother and father and cleaving to his wife, and in 45 of Psalms, or chapter 45 of Psalms, we're basically seeing the same thing of daughters that once they leave their father, it's because they're going to their husband. And verse 11, for he is thy Lord, and worship thou him.
Right.
So that verse 11 is talking about how wives should be worshiping their husbands. Is that correct?
Right. That was set in place when he put Adam to sleep, took the rib out, and he brought the woman to Adam. When you understand the whole makeup of that, Adam had a seed. The seed is in Adam. She don't have a seed. So he brought her to him. And then they lose the woman when she leave her father's house, she comes under the man. The man want to give her, the man has a seed, so he the one covering them up. They become under him. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. And then the verse right before that in 10 summarizes that also. Forget also thy own people in thy father's house. And it's not a mean or a rude thing. It's an honorable thing, which is the way I see it. Why there was, here's the marriage gift. I think some time ago recently we read about Isaac having his wife, and I could have been reading that in my own study, but either way, how when Isaac gets his wife, that Abraham does have his helper for all these years go out, and she is given these jewels. The family is talked to, and she literally goes from her father's house to Isaac.
Right. Right. Yeah, but the biggest part of that is what happens when she get back. When his servant brings her back, he takes Isaac, see her in the field, and she see him, and Isaac take her off of the camel and go into his mama tent and consummate the relationship. A lot of people don't see that, but he goes, and that's what marriage is in Hebrew. They go in and consummate the relationship. That's why it says in Genesis, he brought the woman to the man, and then they became one flesh. He consummated the relationship. And then the next verse says she became his wife after he consummated. So yeah, so it's a lot of things that be going on in scriptures that people don't be paying attention to. Yeah. So anybody else got anything on that? Everybody good? Okay. We'll start reading out of Deuteronomy. We're going to be reading 5 chapters. We're going to be reading Deuteronomy 21 through 25. Okay. You want to start reading 21, Anitra?
Shalom. Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 21. If one be found slain in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess it, lying in the field, and it be not known who has slain him, then thy elders and thy judges shall come forth, and they shall measure unto the cities which are round about him that is slain. And it shall be that the city which is next unto the slain man, even the elders of that city, shall take a heifer which hath not been wrought with, and which hath not drawn in the yoke. And the elders of that city shall bring down the heifer unto a rough valley, which is neither eared nor sown, and shall strike off the heifer's neck there in the valley. And the priests, the sons of Levi, shall come near, for them the Lord thy God hath chosen to minister unto him, and to bless in the name of the Lord. And by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. And all the elders of that city that are next unto the slain man shall wash their hands over the heifer that is beheaded in the valley. And they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, neither have our eyes seen it. Be merciful, O Lord, unto thy people Israel, whom thou hast redeemed, and lay not innocent blood unto thy people of Israel's charge, and the blood shall be forgiven them. So shalt thou put away the guilt of innocent blood from among you, when thou shalt do that which is right in the sight of the Lord. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord thy God hath delivered them unto thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go unto her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. And if it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will. But thou shalt not sell her at all for money. Thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. And if a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have both borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers, that was hated, then it shall be, when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he hath, for he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. And if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that, when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him, and bring him out unto the elders of his city, and unto the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of his city, This our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he die. So shalt thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be put to death, and he be to be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him that day, for he is hanged, for he that is hanged is accursed of God, that thy land be not defiled, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. That was Deuteronomy chapter 21. Shalom.
Okay, yeah, I was talking about this the other day. These, you notice the law right here about a unruly child. He says take them outside the city after they get to the point where they can't be taught, or they can't be, tutored. You take them outside the city, and the whole city stoned to death. And but we can't do that now. Everybody be looking at life, a life sentence. But this is part of our laws, statutes that he said when he resurrected David in Deuteronomy, in Ezekiel 37. He's gonna raise David up, and we're gonna keep his laws, his statutes, and his judgments. But this one of them right here. You think you have too many unruly kids if they was doing this? No, they'll get right quick. Okay. You want to read 22, Brittany?
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 22. Thou shalt not see thy brother's ox or his sheep go astray, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt in any case bring them again unto thy brother. And if thy brother be not nigh unto thee, or if thou know him not, then thou shalt bring it unto thine own house, and it shall be with thee until thy brother seek after it, and thou shalt restore it to him again. In like manner shalt thou do with his ass, and so shalt thou do with his raiment, and with all lost thing of thy brother's, which he hath lost, and thou hast found. Excuse me, shalt thou do likewise. Thou mayest not hide thyself. Thou shalt not see thy brother's ass or his ox fall down by the way, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt surely help him to lift them up again. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God. If a bird's nest chance to be before thee in thy way, in any tree, or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young. But thou shalt in any wise let the dam go, and take the young to thee, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days. When thou buildest a new house, then thou shalt make a battlement for thy roof, that thou bring not blood upon thy house, if any man fall from thence. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown, and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled. Thou shalt not plow with an ox or an ass together. With an ox and an ass together. Thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts, as of woolen and linen together. Thou shalt make thee fringes upon the four quarters of thy vesture, wherewith thou coverest thyself. If any man take a wife, and go unto her, and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of the city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, he may not put her away all his days. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house. The men of the city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she has wrought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put evil away among from you. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Israel. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both unto the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worth of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor, and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in a field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. And that's Deuteronomy 22.
Okay, so this is what this is talking about in Ezekiel 37. What we was talking about the other night when he says he's gonna cleanse us. After when we leave here and go back, he's gonna cleanse us. This what he's talking about. These are things that have to be because we doing this right now wholesale. The stuff that we reading is happening right now wholesale, and it's not being judged. So when Israel get back over there, this is what he's talking about when he says cleanse us. Like I was just saying, he says we're gonna keep our laws. David's gonna be the king, and we're gonna keep his laws, statutes, and judgments. These are it right here, and we can see clearly we're not doing this. And not only that, we can't do it because, like I said, what they have over here, we'll be doing life sentences for it. But this is what he means when he said we have to be cleansed. Okay. AJ, you want to read 23?
Right, yes, sir. You know, Deuteronomy 23, persons excluded from the congregation. He that is wounded in the stones or hath his privy member cut off shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord. An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into into the congregation of the Lord forever, because they met you not with bread and with water in the way when you came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam, the son of Beor of Pethor of Mesopotamia, to curse thee. Nevertheless, the Lord thy God will not hearken unto Balaam, but the Lord thy God turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because the Lord thy God loved thee. Thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity all your days forever. Verse 7, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their 3rd generation. When the host goeth forth against thine enemies, then keep thee from every wicked thing. If there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness, that chanceth him by night, then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come within the camp, but it shall be when evening cometh on, he shall wash himself with water, and when the sun is down, he shall come into the camp again. Thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whether thou shalt go forth abroad, and thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon. And it shall be when thou wilt ease thyself abroad, thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back and cover that which cometh from thee. For excuse me, for the Lord thy God walketh in the midst of the camp to deliver thee, and to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall the camp be holy. Okay, shall the camp be holy, that he see no unclean thing in thee, and turn away from thee. Thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant, which is escaped from his master, unto thee. He shall dwell with thee, even among you, in that place which he shall choose in one of thy gates, where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. There shall no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Thou shalt not bring a hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow, for even both these are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother you shall not lend upon usury, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all that thou settest thy hand to in the land whither thou goest to possess it. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it, for the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee. That which is gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform, even a free will offering, according as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy God, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. When thou comest into thy neighbor's vineyard, then thou mayest eat grapes thy fill at thine own pleasure, but thou shalt not put any in any vessel. Verse 25, when thou comest into the standing corn of thy neighbor, then thou mayest pluck the ears with thy hand, but thou shalt not move a sickle onto thy neighbor's standing corn. And that was Deuteronomy chapter 23.
Okay, you got anything on that?
Brother Lynn, I got a question about this 7 and 8.
Okay.
I understand. Well, I understand that the Edomites are, Esau and Jacob were brothers.
Right.
But when it talks about them coming into to the temple,
Right.
is this wicked scribe?
Yeah, well, it's three things in here. Like I
Okay.
said, that if you go 3 and 4, look at this. This killed Naomi and Ruth right here. 3. And the Edomite or a Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to the 10th generation. Shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever? So either somebody got it wrong, or what we discovered the other day, these Moabite men. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Moabite men. But then you go down here, that's got to be dealt with when it says that the Edomite. He brings up the fact that what's that 9?
Verse 7.
7 says, "Thou shalt not abhor." Well, it said, "Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother, and thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian." So it means that hating.
Right. Yes, sir.
So yeah.
And what about verse 8, Brother Lynn? I'm sorry. It's verse 8 where it talks about them coming into the temple.
The children that are begot of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their 3rd generation. Yeah, so that's the woman. I'm thinking the woman. If an Israelite man deal with an Edomite woman,
Mm-hmm.
they come in 3rd generation, because obviously up here in 3, he says an Ammonite or a Moabite man shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord even to the 10th generation. So it's got to be now here the woman. If a man married an Edomite woman or a woman outside of Israel, they can be brought in the 3rd generation. Because up here it says 10th generation. That's the man. You see that?
Right. Yes,
That's
sir.
the only way you can rightly divide it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. Then I was going to deal with 13 and 14 because a lot of people don't know nothing about this. But this how I keep on telling people how he's there constantly dealing with the Israelite people. That's how when you understand that, we know it ain't JC. So in 13 and 14 it says, and thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon, and it shall be when thou wilt ease thyself abroad, thou shalt dig therewith, and shall turn back and cover that which cometh from thee. So this is when you poop in Israel, when you have to go defecate. So it's like you see what a cat do, dig a hole and the cat covered up. So he telling the Israelite right here, when you have to poop, have a paddle with you and dig a hole and cover it up. But this is why he wanted to cover it up. 14. For the Lord thy God walketh in the midst of thy camp to deliver thee and to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy, and that he sees no unclean thing in thee and turn away from thee. So he's saying, he walking in the camp. You don't want to step in that. So when you go out and defecate, cover it up, because the Lord of hosts walking in this camp. Ain't that something?
Right. Yes, sir.
See that? Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Shalom. The first time I read this some years ago, I said, well, cleanliness really is close to godliness. Adults weren't just really saying that. You just really need to be clean. And like you said, Brother Leonard, because, and it's not now while we're in captivity, but clearly the Lord of hosts was among them.
Exactly.
So he wasn't saying just be clean to be annoying and here's a million things I want you to do. I don't want to be around your filth. But the first time I read this, I was like, oh, it's true.
Right.
Like he's here with people. And
Right.
we need to be clean if he's going to be here with us.
Exactly. And then the other one is about, like I said, when you praying or whatever you talking to the Lord, it's not going in a closet and talking under your tongue. He says right here, 18, thou shalt not bring a hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow, right? For even both these are abominations unto the Lord thy God. 19, thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother. Now we definitely caught up in this right now, especially with the other nations. Thou shalt not lend usury unto thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all that thou settest thine heart, thy hand in to do, whether thou go possess it. Now here go the vow, right? I was talking about. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it. So watch this. For the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. So watch this. Why would it be sin? 22. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee. So if you don't speak it, you're gonna say that in a minute. So when you make a vow, you gotta speak it, right? So it says, that which is gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep. That's the vow. Whatever you spoke out of your mouth. So you can't do it. You can't telepathic. You know what I'm saying? That which gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform, even a free will offering, according to as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy God, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. See that? So reason I'm showing you this. Now I go to what Gabriel told Daniel. I heard what you said. The first day you said it. On the 21 days you started fasting, on the first day I heard it. Now I'm here because of the words that came out your mouth is why I'm here. Now he'd bit his tongue, then he wouldn't have no problem. But anything that came out of his mouth that he vowed to the Lord, you got to deal with that. If you don't, there's repercussion to it. Anybody got anything else? Okay. I'm gonna start at 24. I'm in chapter 24 of Deuteronomy. The laws and the domestic relations. When a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that he find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it to her, give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and giveth it in her hand and sendeth her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which tooketh her to be his wife, a former husband which sent her away may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled, for that is an abomination before the Lord, and thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. So that right there, you call the land to sin. You got 2 times, 2 trips, 2 tries. Okay, and when a man have taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home 1 year, and he shall cheer up his wife, which he have taken. No man shall take neither or the upper millstone to pledge, for he have taken a man's life to pledge. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and maketh merchandise of him, or selleth him, then that thief shall die, and thou shalt put evil away from among you. Take heed in the plague of the leprosy, that thou observe diligently and do according to all that the priest, the Levites, shall teach you, as I command them, so ye shall observe to do. Remember what the Lord thy God did unto Miriam by the way, after that ye were come forth out of Egypt. And when thou doest lend thy brethren anything, thou shalt not go in unto his house to fetch his pledge. And thou shalt stand abroad, and the man to whom thou didst lend shall bring out the pledge abroad unto thee. And if the man be poor, thou shalt not sleep with his pledge. In any case, thou shalt deliver him the pledge again when the sun goes down, that he may sleep in his own raiment, and bless thee, and it shall be righteousness unto thee before the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not oppress an hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in the land within thy gates. At his day, thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor and setteth his heart upon it, lest he cry against thee unto the Lord, and it be seen unto thee. The father shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the father. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin, and thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor the fatherless, nor take a widow's raiment to pledge. But thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondsman in Egypt, and the Lord thy God redeemed thee. Okay, thence, therefore, command thee to do this thing. And when thou cuttest down thine harvest in the field, and hast forgot a sheaf in the field, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the works of thy hand. And when thou beatest thine olive tree, thou shalt not go over the bowls again. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And thou gather the grapes of thy vineyard, thou shalt not glean afterwards, and it shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondsman in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I command thee to do this thing. Okay, so that was 24. Anybody got any comments on that?
Yes, sir. In verse 16, the fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. Um, that and I don't know if it was this verse exactly, but either it was this verse or another one like it that spoke volumes to me when I was in that in between stage, like just something is just not right. This OT and new T is just not adding up together. One of the things that I remember in Christianity being pushed very hard and heavily and helped with the brainwashing is just Adam sinned so long ago. We're all born in sin. We're all stuck in sin. None of us are righteous. We're all sinners. So we need Jesus. Um, and this is one of those types of verses where I thought, well, it says right here, you know, what my mom and my dad did doesn't define me. So how could what Adam did and Eve did so long ago make me be a sinner all my life and need Jesus on the cross? Um, and you know, even if that was the case, we'd be stuck with nobody being righteous. How could Noah be righteous enough to get on the ark if he was stuck with Adam and Eve's sin? You know,
Right.
how could David get to where he got if he was stuck with Adam and Eve's sin? But again, I grew up reading the back of a book, so once you read the Old Testament without anybody telling you what you read and what it means, if you just read it, English is English, and it clearly says in verse 16, the children are not responsible for their father, and their father's not responsible for their children. If you sin, your death is on your own head.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. 19 through 20. This right here was another one of those things that's like I said, when you go back to Ruth and Naomi, and the reason why, if you go back and read the story or watch the movie or whatever, you're gonna see why Ruth was doing what she was doing when it came to the fields, when they was out in the field. Here you go right here, 19. When thou cut it down thine harvest in the field, talk to the Israelite men, and hast forgot a sheaf in the field, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be, check it out, it shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, for the widow. That's what Naomi was. Or Ruth. Let me see. Ruth. Ruth was a widow. Naomi too. Both of them was widows. See that? That the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the works of thy hands. Then 20. And when thou beatest thine olive tree, thou shalt not go over the bowls again. It shall, so one pass. Everything that's left, leave it for it shall be for the stranger, fatherless, and the widow. 21. When thou gettest the grapes of the vineyard, thou shalt not glean it out at the corners of all the field, all the grapes. It afterwards it shall be for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. There it is again. So that's why they was doing that. It was left for the widow, which was Naomi and Ruth. Both of them was widows. Ain't that something? Okay, so I'm gonna read this last chapter, 25. If there be a controversy between men, when they come unto the judgment, that the judge may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. And it shall be, if the wicked man be worthy to be beaten, that thou judge should cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face, according to his fault, by a certain number. 40 stripes he may give him, and not exceed, lest if he should exceed and beat him above these with many stripes, then thy brother should seem vile unto thee. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he treadeth out corn. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife. Okay? And perform the duty of a husband's brother unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put away out of Israel. And if the man lack not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband's brother refused to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Then the elders of the city shall call him, speak unto him, and if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall her brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders. Here you go right here. This is why they did this in the movie right here. And loose his shoe from off his foot and spit in his face and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel the house of him that has his shoe loosed. And when men strive together one to another, and the wife of the one draweth near for to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth her, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secrets, then thou shalt cut off her hand, thine eye shall not pity her, and thou shalt not have in thy bag divers weights, a great and small, and thou shalt not have in thy house divers measures, great and small, but thou shalt have perfect and just weights, a perfect and just measure shall thou have, that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. For all that doeth such things, and all that do unrighteously are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, smote the hind part of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, and when thou wast faint, and weary, and he feared not God. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God have given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, and thou shalt not forget it. Okay, so that was chapter 25 of Deuteronomy. So I want to shine light on this last part. We see right here that this is the reason why he sent Saul to wipe the Israelites, the Edomites, the Amalekites out, because they didn't. It's not only did they attack Israel when they would come out of Egypt, but they attacked the feeble, the people that was down and out, and you know they was hurt and wounded. He attacked the hinder part of the people that was coming out of Egypt and smote them. So that's the reason why the Lord told them, when you get in the land, don't forget that. Remember to do it. And so when they got in the land, that's why he told Saul to do what he done, because of what they had done to Israel. And notice this is the same thing happened with David and Solomon. When right before David died, he gave Solomon a bunch of commandments, people to get rid of that had brought blood in his house. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that before we move forward? Okay.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. In from verses 5 through 10, when it was talking about the duty of a husband's brother, that brought me to thinking about them boys that Judah had with the Canaanite one.
Exactly. Okay. And even the story of Naomi and Ruth. Remember, Ruth's husband had died, and then and he had two sons, but her two sons died. They didn't have no kids. That's what Boaz come in at.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Supposed to raise up a seed for him. And notice what he said: if the man don't want to perform that duty, you got to take his shoe off, and then they spit in his face. Ain't that something?
Right.
That's disgraceful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ain't that something? So you gotta let that ferment back to what, like I was saying, when we talk about sexual encounters, right? That's not registering with the way we is, the shit we do. So he's saying the man brother done died and he got a wife, you going into her to raise a seed up in him. It ain't got nothing to do with all this the way we think. See what I'm saying?
Right, yes,
so
sir.
They on a whole nother, that's what I mean by thinking like a Hebrew. They on another, Most High got them on some whole nother level. We on some more, we all got down here after 2,000 years or so, we on some more shit. But right here, that's not what he telling them right there, ain't got nothing to do with how we think. Okay? Yeah. So somebody got a scripture they want to pick, and we're gonna read it, and then we'll break it down before we close out. Precept.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Can we go to Ecclesiastes, please, chapter 5?
Okay.
You guys were reading about vows that's made to the Lord, right? So Ecclesiastes 5:5 says, better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. I'm going to read verse 6 also, sir, please. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thine hands? That was Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 5 and 6.
Right, and ain't that what we just talked about? Gabriel came. And so, I mean, Gabriel was there from when when Daniel first vowed and first prayed. Gabriel was there, but he ain't. But Daniel ain't know he was there. And then 21 days later, he said, "I heard when you first vowed." And look what you just read. It said, "Don't make a vow in front of an angel." See that?
Yes, sir.
Right. So that's like I said before. It's not telepathy. You gotta speak it. And then when you speak it, you either gotta play it or the second is repercussion to it. And pretty much it ain't just the vowels, it's everything. Okay? So that's all. Okay. So nobody else will have anything. I'm gonna see you. We got our women's advanced Bible study tomorrow night. It's 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. And then the men can come in through YouTube. And then the roles are reversed on Friday. We got men's advanced Bible study on Friday night. The women can come in through YouTube. So I want to apologize for last night. Some came up at the last minute. I had to handle it. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. See everybody tomorrow.
Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.